everyone, welcome back to Homestead in a Box. My name is Leah and I'm super grateful to have you here. It is mid-December and I really just wanted to show you all what my garden looks like, what's thriving, surviving. Today I'm actually going to be adding a few things to my garden beds in hopes to help prepare my soil for spring planting. And really I just want to talk to you a little bit about preparing your soil, getting your soil ready, when we're going to do soil tests on our soil here, and just show you what's surviving in my garden. So let's go check out what all is growing and what's growing really good. Some things aren't growing near as good, but it's to be expected because we have fewer daylight hours right now. So things in the winter grow, they grow real slow. They do grow, but they grow real slow. So let's go check out what's still growing, and then we'll dive into a little bit about how you can prepare your soil now for your spring planting in 2024. Over here we have some lettuce growing here. It's looking really well. But we have turnips and collards growing over here in this bed. Looking really good. I need to come in and I'm gonna harvest some more collard greens this evening for dinner. The turnips are looking really good too. Let me zoom in here so you can see these turnips. Man, so turnips, you can actually just pick the greens off the top and eat the greens for a little bit while the turnip is still producing underground. This one here, I need to pull, and I will pull that, and we'll have that this evening. But my turnips are looking really good. So are all of my collards. I need to come in and harvest them. This row here, you can see these are my collards. Well, this is a turnip. Can you see that? That's a turnip, but this here next to it is a collard. So I have my turnips and my collards interplanted here in this garden bed. So I'm going to come in and we're going to be adding rabbit manure and leaf mulch to this bed to get it ready, mainly just to kind of feed the soil. They're both great organic things to add to your soil to prepare for your spring planting. Plus it'll feed all the things that I have in here right now. Okay, so we're gonna move over here to my carrots. My carrots are laid down. Last night it got to about 25 degrees Fahrenheit last night. Pretty cold for carrots. However, that's just the tops. There's still wonderful carrots growing underground. Again, it's winter time, so things grow a lot slower than what they normally do. Let's see if I can find a carrot that's ready to be pulled. That one could have stayed in there a little bit longer, but alright, so I'm going to pull another carrot. I pulled this one, and like I said, you can see where they're kind of laying over, but that's just because of the cold last night. I came in a couple weeks ago and planted a couple more rows of carrots, knowing that I'm not going to get a winter harvest off of them, but I'll get an early jump start on my spring germination with them if they survive the cold temps. I think we're probably going to get a few cold temps in January and February, and it may knock a few things out of the garden, but for the most part, I think that if I start a few things early enough now that they'll be able to survive through those cold snaps, and I can get an early spring harvest with them. Alright, down from my carrots, you see all of this spinach. It needs to be picked so bad. I still have a whole container full of spinach in the house, and I have found with spinach, the more you pick it, the more prolific it comes back, which I'm not mad about that. It's super great. I love just eating some spinach while I'm out in the garden. I was talking to my friend Connie about that last week, about how we just have snacks. This kale is doing really good over here. It brings me joy. I love growing kale. The kale leaves is what really is the most amazing part to me. I'm fixing to actually also plant some dino kale out here in these beds. My beets are looking really good over here. Thanks to everybody for shooting me a few recipes last week over on Facebook about some different recipes to use with beets. My cilantro is looking amazing. So yeah, my cilantro is looking really good in here. I mean, it looks really good and it tastes so good. I have some onions planted along with my beets. It's just so pretty. So here's a great example of carrots being planted at a different time. These carrots were planted way later than the ones that are in my garden bed. I need to actually come in and thin these out, but this is an example of, you know, just these carrots being as grown as they are now. They're not going to really produce a whole lot through the winter. However, I do believe when I thin them out, they're going to give me a pretty decent early spring crop. All right. More lettuce. I need to come in and really harvest all these radish. This is all radish, but some of them I'm actually just going to cut the tops off and let them stay in the soil. All right, so these beds have been fed with rabbit manure and leaves. And so as you see, obviously all the leaves in here. So they both break down over time and add nutrients back to your soil. They're both things that we get right here out of our yard. We don't have to buy them from anywhere. It's wonderful. I have this broccoli growing I'm really excited about, you guys. And that's either a broccoli, a Brussels sprout, or cauliflower. I'm not for sure. But all the rest is cabbage in here. Well, these are radishes, as you see here. But pretty excited about my cabbage. The heads are starting to really form pretty tight down on the insides. All right, now that you've seen a little bit of the garden, and I've already kind of talked a little bit about why we add in rabbit manure and leaf mulch. Like I said earlier, they're both great organic matter that break down over time. We will come in, and I add it now because we'll come in at the end of February, early March, and do a soil test on all of our beds this year. And then we'll amend them as we see needed. But honestly, the way I kind of feel about it, and this is, I mean, I encourage everyone to have your soil amended, but if I'm being honest with you, we used a soil test from Amazon. This will be my first year using the local extension office, and I'm just using it on my beds because my native soil that I have here, I already know that it's rocky and sandy and all those things, and I'm just taking the time now to build that soil up, and then after a year or so, then I'll have that soil tested. But for us personally, between February and March, after we've given this enough time to break down a little bit, the rabbit manure, the leaves, you know, will come in, and it'll be about the time we're harvesting all of this out and getting ready to transition into our, you know, summer, put our summer transplants out. Right before then is when we'll test our soil. Until then, we've just kind of stayed tried and true. I've always just added rabbit manure and leaf mulch, and it's worked wonderful. There's like a whole world in our soil down there, and that's what you actually want. When you see worms and all of the life in your soil, when you pick up some in your hand, that's really what you want to see. That means they have everything in the soil, you know, they have everything that they need there. So that's why we kind of stick with the things we have. We don't have to go out and buy things to add, because honestly, growing food doesn't have to be expensive. Amending your soil doesn't have to be expensive. A quick side story about amending soil. I was just telling some friends this past week that I grow my potatoes in trash bags, and last year when I was growing my potatoes, I just took our native soil, a layer of native soil, a layer of rabbit manure, a layer of leaf mulch, and I just stacked those. I got potato harvest out of them, and when I cut them open, I also, not only did I have a potato harvest, I had amended soil that I was able to take from those bags and transfer into my garden, just to consistently be adding, because we have these rock raised beds, and with rain and things like that, we have to add soil. It's always good to be adding soil back. So I basically just amended soil by just adding rabbit manure and leaf mulch. It works for us. I mean, like I always say, do what works for you in your gardens and at your homestead, but it works for us. It's completely free. We don't have to go out and purchase anything. And I mean, you see my garden. We get a pretty good size harvest in the winter and in the summer, and all we have ever used is rabbit manure and then just leaf mulch that we've got here from our property. So anyway, that basically wraps up today's video. I just want to show you all what all is growing, what you can grow throughout the winter. It's mid-December in Oklahoma. all of the things I'm growing right now, you can also grow in early spring. So if you want to grow turnips or beets or radish or carrots or any of that, you still have plenty of time to be able to plant those early spring and get a harvest off of those. Make sure you're following along over on social media. I share whenever I plant certain things in order to hopefully get a harvest. I say all the time, gardening is an experiment. So sometimes things work in my favor, sometimes things don't, but I'm willing to try. And if you're willing to put yourself out there and to put some seeds in the ground, you never know, you'll probably get some food from it. Thank you all so much for being here and hanging out with me. As always, I'm sending you good vibes. Send some good vibes to somebody that you know, and I'll see y'all next time.